Hope you all are staying warm and safe. It's been quite the winter for many people, especially in Texas and southern states that are not used to having winter storms like they've had lately and the terribly cold temperatures. So no matter what's going on in central Ohio, I am not complaining this winter because I see what's happening in the news with some of those people in Texas and other states that are not used to the severe winter cold and snow and all that. So I hope you all are safe and happy wherever you are. I've been MIA for a little bit. I did not have Friday and Monday Facebook Lives because I was hosting my Creative Escape Weekend in Cincinnati again. We had a small group this time, just 15 people, but I have to say, I think I laughed for 3 days straight. It was so much fun. I can't get over how, I mean, at one point I said, stop, my cheeks hurt from laughing. So that's always a good thing. And I had several other people drop in to see me and to shop my retired sale. So that was nice too. I got to see even more people that way. Weather was a little tricky getting back from Cincinnati to Columbus, but I made it safely and everybody that attended the weekend got home safe as well. And then I've been fighting headaches a lot over the last week. I'm not sure what that is about. Maybe the weather, sinuses, I don't know, but finally started feeling a little bit better yesterday afternoon and have not had a headache since, but no other symptoms. I feel perfectly fine in every other way. I don't know, maybe it was just lack of enough sleep, but I am here and back, and I've been working as much as I can this week, and I've got a fun project to show you today, a neat fun fold card. But before then, I just wanted to introduce you to my newest class to go. It is the In Blooms bundle card class to go. And you get the whole bundle, the stamp set and the coordinating dies. You get a package of pearls, a full package of pearls. And you'll also get the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper as a freebie. So you'll make 6 cards to each of these 3 designs. And then I created cards. One of them is a fun fold. 3 more designs of cards featuring that In Blooms bundle with the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper. And you'll make 6 of those, 3 of to each of 3 designs. So you'll make a total of 12 cards, 2 each for 6 designs. You'll get the In Blooms bundle, the stamp set and dies, the pearls, and a full package of the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper for $68, including priority shipping. Now, if you already have those products, no problem. You can order the tutorial for the 6 different cards for $20. And information is on my blog. Today, I sent it in an email. Gosh, I can't think of what day that was. End of last week, probably. And you have a few more days to purchase that. Tuesday the 23rd is the deadline. So if you're interested in that, there are 2 great classes in one. So I think you'll enjoy it very much. What else did I work on in the weekend? I played with some new stamp sets, the Welcoming Window and the Wrapped Bouquet. And I'm not going to show you those, but I also played with the, I can't think what it's called, Flowering Cactus Suite, maybe? That product medley, and made a bunch of cards. I'll be putting together a tutorial for that, but I'll just quickly show you, a couple of them. I've got several here. Here's one. And which other one? How about that one? life can get a little prickly. So that would be a good thinking of you card, or I'm here for you card. So yeah, the Creative Escape weekend was lots of fun. My next one isn't till October, but that one always sells out. It's a blast. We do Christmas projects as well with the make and take pack I give. So looking forward to the next one. Happy to put those winter Creative Escapes behind me. They are a lot of work, but always a great time. If you're looking for something like that and you live in the Cincinnati, Ohio, tri-state area, or if you know somebody who does and you'd like to come with them, just give me a shout out. And as long as you're on my newsletter list, my email list, you will get that information when it's ready. Okay, I'm gonna flip my camera around and we're gonna start with today's Fun Fold Friday project. I'm going to be featuring once again one of my favorite product suites ever, the Fine Art Floral product suite. And let me adjust this a little bit. If you haven't taken a look at this or tried any of it, be sure to check it out because it's just full of amazing products, including the art gallery bundle and also the gilded leafing, which is so much fun to work with. I've done it once, used it once before in a Facebook Live for my, what was it? The Mary Stampers Create and Share virtual event on February 6th. But we're going to work with it right now. It's just super fun. It's super easy and a fun way to add some elegance, I'll say, to your card making. So it comes in a jar like this, gilded leafing, but this is very light, very fluffy. I mean, you don't want to have a ceiling fan on or anything like that, or have this under a register when you're using it, because it will blow everywhere. So just be aware of that. But it's easiest if once you get the gilded leafing, if you pour it into a large container. I'm just using a plastic, what is this, Rubbermaid or something, Rubbermaid container that I can close afterwards with a lid. I also like to have a container that's large enough that I can actually set my cardstock pieces in it. That makes it a little bit easier and a little bit less mess to work with. Sarah Douglas, our CEO of Stampin' Up, calls it light and buttery. It almost feels like there's nothing in your fingers when you do that. And I thought, what is she talking about, light and buttery? Honestly, it is. It's just like a very fine, silky feel. You hardly even notice it's in your hands. But put it in a container, have a sponge or some kind of tool to work with. I'm going to try this makeup brush and I got this idea from my demonstrator friend, Rosemary Coleman in Canada. And I'm going to give that a try with this. Now you can stamp and use the heat and stick powder so that you can put the gold leafing on stamped images. I'm not going to use this today, but you can use any kind of adhesive, anything that's sticky. I'm just going to use our tear and tape, and I'm going to do something quite different today. Instead of using that heat and stick powder, I'm just going to lay this down, a strip of this down, right on, oh, that's pretty good, right along the top edge of my cardstock, and also at this bottom edge. I'm going right up along the edge of the cardstock. You could really put it anywhere you want if you want to leave some white space. Some of the white cardstock showing between the strip of adhesive, you can do that as well. I'm just going to press it down, make sure it's completely smooth, and I'm going to do one side at a time. Oh, thanks to those of you that are sharing. Hi, Susan and Janelle. Hello, Becky. Thanks for sharing. Becky from Kentucky. Nice to have you. Hi, Dana and Sharon and Kathy. I'm glad you're all here, and thanks so much for sharing. my Facebook Live video. And if you're watching on replay later, please feel free to share the recorded video as well. Okay, if you have any extra little ends of that tear and tape, just tuck it behind. Now I'm going to just drop this in to my container of gilded leafing, and this is how it comes up, and you can see it's very light. And I'm just going to remove the excess using this brush. I've also in the past used this sponge, which maybe is good for larger areas, I'm not sure. But just whatever you're comfortable with. You can even do it with your fingers. I think it just helps to have some kind of tool. And I actually like using the makeup brush a little bit better than the sponge. Or maybe put the sponge on a clothespin to hold it, something like that. Dana, you're making me laugh with your comment about the headaches. You have a 14-year-old, teenagers, yes. Woo. I am past the teenager stage with my own children and don't have any grandchildren yet. I hope I'll get some someday. I think I will. But yes, teenage years are rough. I think they're especially rough right now with all the remote learning and the kids, you know, they can't play their sports and have band and do all the things that they usually would do in the normal way. It's kind of sad to see, but you know what? We are strong, we're resilient, we will get through it, and so will the kids. We just got to take care of each other. Now, when you put this on, you will find that it is so light, so thin, okay? And it sticks fabulously. It's just all these little bits that you want to try and remove any of that extra little bit. The nice thing about using the tear and tape, I think, you get that nice clean line from the tape. I love it. But again, you can use any kind of adhesive, sticky adhesive. I saw somebody using just made little gold dots by using it with our mini glue dots that are on the roll. That was fun. What else have I seen? Of course, the stamping and using the heat and stick powder. But all kinds of things you can do. You can even just cover cardstock with this and then die cut the gold covered cardstock or punch it. Okay, so that is the inside base of my card. So we're going to set this aside just a minute while I show you the pieces I've prepared. You want to start with a piece of cardstock that measures 5.5 by 6.5 inches across. So you'll get 2 of these fun fold cards out of one standard size 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. Once you've cut it to 5.5 and 6.5, with a 6.5 side at the top, you want to score it 4.25. And then you're going to fold the flap closed, okay? Now you can make this different directions. I'm going to make this with the fold at the bottom, which I know is very unusual for our standard cards, but on this one, the fold will be at the bottom. I've cut a piece of designer series paper that measures 2 inches by 5.25 inches. So when I lay it on this flap, it'll have that nice Mary Merlot border around it. And this is the Fine Art Floral Designer Series paper from that product suite I showed you. Then I cut this label. And to cut this, I'm using Mary Merlot again, same color as the card base, but you can mix and match if you like. But I used the second largest stitched nested die. Okay, it's a mouthful to say, isn't it? But it's the second largest one. So I cut that out with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and then you want to score it, and you'll want the left point to be at the 3.5 inch mark, and then you just score across the top of that label. Use your bone folder and give it a really good crease. Okay, can you still see the bits of gold flecks? They're so small, but every time I move, I feel like they're blowing around. The next thing I'm going to do is, this one's a little, I need to turn that over. I'm going to adhere this so that it's a flap, so I'm not adhering on the front. I'm just putting some adhesive on the back flap. You don't even want it on the fold part. And I'm just going to adhere that to the back about 1/4 inch from the right edge. So now this is what I have. You want to be sure to adhere this flap, that small flap on the back edge, before you put this piece of cardstock on the inside of your card. Look at how elegant this gold leafing looks. Did I get that? No, it's not quite straight. Look how oh, there we go. Okay, it paused for a moment there, not sure why. So as I was saying, the gold leafing is just very, very thin. It's thinner than the thinnest ribbon you could use. It's thinner than the cardstock. It's thinner than the designer series paper even. So it really adds no thickness to your cards when you're using it, but just adds some really glorious and beautiful accents. Now I went ahead and cut a piece of designer series paper with the stitch circle framelits, the stitch shape framelits. Does anybody have those? The dies, stitch shape dies with the circles, the squares, the ovals. That is probably my most used set of dies. In fact, somebody recently bought a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine from me and was asking which dies I liked. And I said, if you're just starting out, I would choose the stitched shapes dies because they are so versatile. And that's what she did. And I'm excited to see her using those. But you know, we have lots of great shapes, but these you can use with anything since they're circles, squares, and ovals. So that's what I did as my accent piece. You might also stamp and punch something, anything at all to put right there in your center. Now I'm going to stamp a greeting right here. Now when you open this, you will have room to write at the bottom of this or also right under here, because I like to tuck my personal notes, write my personal notes where they're going to be hidden and not be a distraction when the pretty card is closed up. Let's see here. I'll go with the art gallery set, and there's lots of fun embellishments, or not embellishments, sentiments in here already. I think I'm going to go with, you know what, I need a sympathy card, so I'm going to switch out. I'm going to use With Deepest Sympathy from Peaceful Moments. Several people have, like me, have said they've needed a lot of sympathy cards lately. So since I'm stamping this, I'm going to just show you some of my go-to sets for sympathy. Absolutely this one, With Deepest Sympathy, Thinking of You with All My Heart. I just really like those. The others are great as well. In Here's a Card, I really like Words Cannot Express the Deep Sorrow Felt on Your Behalf and May Your Heart Find the Peace It Needs. Both of those great for sympathy, thinking of you, encouragement, that sort of thing. And then finally a new set I got called Vine Design, and has some great dies with it too. It's actually a lot of great dies, but I just love the simple, clean fonts used in these sentiments. And these are sentiments I go to quite often. So if you're looking for sentiments, that's a great one to have. All right, enough of that chit chat, right? I'm going to stamp with Mary Merlot. You might decide you want to stamp with, I'm gonna grab a piece of scrap paper too. You might decide that you want to stamp in a coordinating color. Night of Navy would work, the Old Olive, I believe that's Flirty Flamingo and Petal Pink. That's sometimes fun to do too. I'm just gonna stamp on this piece of scrap paper to see how straight I'm stamping. Ooh, that needs to be, okay. That's going to need to be re-inked. That's a little light for me, so I'm not going to use that one right now, but I am going to stamp it with the, because I don't want you to have to wait for me to ink up the ink pad and all that. So I'll stamp it in a coordinating color. I'll use Night of Navy. I'm glad I tested that out first, because I think I would have been disappointed. Oh, that works. I think this makes a pretty sympathy card with deepest sympathy, and then you still have room to write a message in there. So a very nice fun fold design, but a very elegant and appropriate card for sympathy. So how about if I show you a couple other cards I made with the same fun fold. Here's another one I made. I'm thinking of you, very, very similar. I did actually use Whisper White, or Basic White is the neutral in this designer series paper pack, but on this particular print, as you can see, the vanilla and the white work well. Both of them work well, but this one I chose to use the vanilla along with the Night of Navy, and I just have one stripe of the gold leafing. And put a little bow. Oh, I think we need some bow or embellishment. We'll come back to that. And you can help me choose. And then here's a birthday card I made, a little bit brighter. This gold accent ribbon does come from the same art gallery suite. So I like that. And then I used the, what are these called? The gold glitter enamel dots, just the 3 of the smallest gold glitter enamel dots. Janelle's asking about inking the ink pad. I'm going to show you that. That's a very good question. So let me, let's add a bow to this, and you can help me decide. Would you like the petal pink ribbon for a bow? Or we can use some Night of Navy baker's twine from the Well Suited suite. Does anybody have a preference? I think I know what my choice is, but I'm curious to see what you all have to say. So we could make a bow with the Night of Navy baker's twine, or we can make a bow using the petal pink. Oh, some of each. Although the first one I saw was petal pink, so I'm going to go with that. But I do think both would be appropriate. Both totally different, but both appropriate and would definitely work for this card. So no matter if you're making this on your own, no matter which you choose, it's going to be a winner. So I'll just add this to my card front, and then I'll show you how I ink up my classic ink pads. This ribbon is just so, I guess dainty maybe is the word I'm looking for. I always love sheer ribbons too. They're just a fun look, and they're really easy to work with, and they don't get terribly bulky because the fabric is so thin. And you all know how I adhere my bows to my projects. Just a single mini glue dot on the back, on the knot of the bow will do it for you. That's pretty. I'm just going to trim this one end a little bit more. So thank you for your help on that. But there's the finished card, the outside, and then opened. All right. You like that? Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Would somebody like to win this card? I'll have to make more since I need some sympathies. Would anybody like to win the card? If you would, just type the word win. I'd like to see how many of you are still on and still watching. So Janelle's question was, when you re-ink your ink pads, do you need to let it soak in so it flows through the whole ink pad? Yes and no. You want to help the ink along, but I don't just necessarily let it sit. So this is what I do. I can see some flecks of gold leafing got in there. I put, and this was pretty dry, so I put some dots on. Now, I'm going to hold this up closer to the camera. Can you see how you can actually see the different dots of ink I put in there? I think you can see that pretty well. What you need to do, and I use an old bone folder for this, so if I ever pull this out to crease my score lines, know that this is my second one. I have a good one, and then I have this one. And what I do is I just spread that ink back and forth in both directions. Now this was really, really dry. So then what I want to do is test it out. So you saw how dry it was, right? Let me clean this off with my chamois. And I'm going to stamp it. That looks pretty good. I feel like it still needs more ink. And the reason I like to spread that ink is, if you don't, you're going to have heavy ink where the dots of refill went, and then light ink in between. So that's why you want to take the time to spread that ink back and forth, and I like to go both directions when I do that. And in my opinion, yes, you can add too much ink. So I like, oh, that looks pretty good. Let me flip this over so you can see it better. So I like to do it once, test it out, stamping it. I'd say that's really good. Okay, so much better than when I started, right? But if you get too much ink in there, it's too juicy, it's too wet, it just does not make for nice stamping. Your stamped images and your sentiments aren't just going to have, it's just not going to be as clean a look. Be sure you use a bone folder or a tool, or somebody just said, Dana said she uses a plastic spoon. You can use like the pan scraper, the Pampered Chef pan scraper. That's not what it's intended for, but that would work well. You could use an old gift card or an old credit card, just anything like that. Back of a plastic spoon works great as well. So put some ink in there, dot some, drip some of the Ray Inker on, spread it around, test it out by stamping. And then if you need more, repeat the process until you're comfortable. Definitely don't add too much. So, and once you've done that and you close up your ink pad, remember too that Stampin' Up! Ink pads are designed that when you close them, the ink pad that's holding all that ink is actually upside down in the container. And that's so that all that ink is being drawn to the stamping surface, so that when you open it back up, the ink's not sitting at the bottom of this pad, it's sitting on the top layer of the pad, which is what we want. So, so you do need to give it some time, Janelle, but I would not just let it sit. Definitely spread the ink. You can use it right away then, once you have spread the ink. And then, of course, it will continue to even out through the entire ink pad when you are storing it. Okay? So if you'd like to win this card, be sure to type the word win, and I will choose a winner for this card from the people that have done that. So there's the card I made with you. And let's go back and I'll show you the other two cards I made. This one also used the gold leafing. I just did one stripe of it. Whereas on this card, I have it at the top and bottom of the inside of my card. And then the happy birthday card is made much in the same way. Okay, so super fun card layout, easy to make, 5.5 by 6.5, score at 4 1/4 along the long side, and you're good to go. The outside piece measures 2 inches by 5 1/4. Inside is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And for the label, I use the second largest stitched nested die. Okay? Have a great weekend. Stay warm, stay safe, and do something good for yourself, whether it be crafting or something else that brings you joy. Have a great day. Thanks for spending part of your Friday with me. Bye-bye.